Intel, streamlining product development with PDCA. By implementing PDCA, Intel optimized its product development process, minimized delays, and enhanced quality, ultimately strengthening its position in the competitive technology sector. This section breaks down Intel's approach to PDCA in product development and examines each phase's role in refining its processes. Step 1. Planning for efficient product development. Intel's commitment to rapid product innovation required a clear, structured approach to planning. The goal of the plan phase was to outline a streamlined product development roadmap that would balance innovation with efficiency. Intel aimed to reduce delays, limit design flaws, and optimize resource allocation, recognizing that a well-thought-out plan would be critical to achieving these objectives. During this phase, Intel established specific objectives. 1. Reducing development time, setting a clear timeline to bring products to market faster. 2. Minimizing design errors, aiming to reduce rework through early identification of potential flaws. 3. Maximizing innovation quality, improving product performance, reliability, and user experience. 4. Optimizing resource allocation, ensuring resources were effectively assigned to avoid bottlenecks. Intel conducted market research to identify customer needs and emerging technology trends, ensuring the product design aligned with market expectations. The planning team worked closely with R&D, engineering, and marketing to establish specifications, design requirements, and a realistic timeline. Step 2. Implementing the plan, do. After defining a comprehensive plan, Intel moved to the do phase. This phase involved executing the product development plan by following a structured process that allowed for regular testing and iteration. By breaking down the development into smaller stages, Intel could maintain quality control and adapt as needed. Several steps were taken to ensure the successful execution of the plan. 1. Prototyping and iteration. Intel developed prototypes based on initial design specifications. This allowed for testing at an early stage, which helped identify design issues before moving further into development. 2. Cross-functional collaboration. Engineering, quality assurance, and R&D teams collaborated. Engineers worked on core functionalities while quality assurance teams tested and analyzed each component. Regular communication between departments ensured that feedback was immediately incorporated. 3. Pilot testing. Initial product versions were tested to simulate real-world usage. This testing phase identified usability issues, functional gaps, and any deviations from design specifications. 4. Resource management. Resource allocation was closely monitored to avoid delays. Intel used project management software to track resource availability, helping to ensure that each stage of development had support. Throughout this phase, Intel maintained flexibility by adopting a responsive approach. If issues were detected, real-time adjustments were made to ensure progress remained on track. Regular status meetings allowed the team to align efforts and address emerging concerns, keeping the project focused on the core objectives outlined during the planning phase. Step 3. Checking the results. The check phase involved evaluating the outcomes of the actions taken in the do phase. Intel's project team reviewed performance data from the initial testing stages to determine whether the development process aligned with the planned objectives. This phase was crucial in identifying successes and areas requiring further refinement. Intel's evaluation focused on several key metrics. 1. Time to market. The time taken from concept to initial product release was compared with planned timelines. Any delays were documented and analyzed to understand their root causes. 2. Error rate. The number of design flaws and errors detected during testing was reviewed. Intel aimed to identify the primary sources of errors and implement solutions to prevent them in future projects. 3. Customer feedback simulation. Intel conducted focus group testing on prototypes to gather insights into customer satisfaction with product functionality and quality. Although the testing was performed on prototypes, the feedback provided valuable indicators of potential market reception. 4. Resource efficiency. The effectiveness of resource allocation was assessed by comparing budgeted resources with actual usage. Intel analyzed resource bottlenecks and any areas where resource allocation needed improvement. Data collected during this phase created a comprehensive report on the development process's strengths and weaknesses. Intel used these insights to guide the final act phase, allowing the team to make informed decisions on adjustments and improvements. Step 4. Acting on insights for future improvements. The check phase enabled Intel to integrate insights from the check phase to refine and enhance its development processes. Lessons learned were documented, and steps were taken to improve product development for future projects. Key improvements implemented included: 1. Enhanced quality control. Additional checkpoints were added at critical stages in the development cycle. These checkpoints allowed for earlier detection of errors and design flaws, reducing the likelihood of issues reaching later stages. 2. Resource reallocation. Based on identified bottlenecks, Intel reallocated resources to improve efficiency. For instance, additional support was provided to the testing and prototyping stages to prevent delays in final product releases. 3. Refinement of prototyping process. Intel refined its prototyping methods to better replicate the end-user experience, allowing for a more accurate assessment of product performance during testing. 4. Documentation and knowledge sharing. Best practices and lessons learned from the project were documented and shared with cross-functional teams. This knowledge-sharing approach ensured that future teams benefited from prior experiences, allowing for continual improvement of the development cycle. Through the JACT phase, Intel could institutionalize the improvements identified, setting the stage for ongoing process enhancement. By continually refining the development process, Intel maintained its competitive edge, launching products that met market demands efficiently and precisely. Long-term impact of PDCA on Intel's product development. The consistent application of the PDCA cycle has significantly impacted Intel's product development process, fostering a culture of continuous improvement. By adopting PDCA as a core method, Intel achieved faster time to market, improved product quality, and a more efficient allocation of resources. Through this structured approach, Intel could better meet customer expectations, reduce production costs, and maintain its leadership in the tech industry. The PDCA cycle has provided a framework that allows Intel to remain adaptable in a changing industry, driving innovation without compromising quality or efficiency. Key learnings from Intel's PDCA application. Intel's use of the PDCA cycle offers valuable lessons for other organizations seeking to optimize product development processes. 1. Clear planning objectives. Setting specific, achievable goals during the planning phase ensured that Intel's development efforts remained focused and aligned with broader organizational priorities. 2. Cross-functional collaboration. Close collaboration between departments facilitated a unified approach to problem-solving, ensuring that feedback was effectively integrated into each development stage. 3. Continuous evaluation and adjustment. By continuously evaluating progress, Intel could identify issues early and make timely adjustments, minimizing the impact of potential setbacks. 4. Standardization of best practices. Lessons learned were documented and shared across the organization, promoting a culture of knowledge sharing and continuous improvement. 5. Customer-centric approach. Gathering feedback from focus groups and simulated market testing allowed Intel to anticipate customer needs better and ensure that the final products aligned with market demands. Intel's experience with the PDCA cycle shows the effectiveness of a structured approach to product development. Intel significantly improved its product development cycle by planning, executing systematically, evaluating progress, and adjusting insight-based processes. The PDCA cycle enabled Intel to maintain high-quality standards, reduce development time, and better meet customer expectations. This case study highlights prizing a systematic, iterative approach to achieving sustainable growth and innovation efficiency. By embracing the principles of PDCA, Intel has set a standard for excellence in product development, serving as an example for organizations looking to thrive in competitive and developing industries. Netflix, continuously enhancing user experience with PDCA. Netflix, a leader in the streaming industry, applied PDCA to optimize its recommendation algorithm and improve content delivery. By focusing on these key areas, Netflix continuously increased user satisfaction and engagement, solidifying its reputation as a top streaming platform. This section will explore how Netflix implemented PDCA step by step to achieve its objectives. Step 1. Planning to enhance user experience. To stay ahead in the streaming industry, Netflix prioritized enhancing user experience as a core strategic objective. The plan phase focused on defining specific goals related to user satisfaction and engagement. To accomplish these goals, Netflix needed to optimize two primary areas: its recommendation algorithm and content delivery system. The primary objectives of this planning phase were: 1. Improving recommendation accuracy. By enhancing the recommendation algorithm, Netflix aimed to ensure that users would receive relevant content suggestions, keeping them engaged. 2. Reducing buffering and load times. Improving content delivery was another priority, as delays in streaming could disrupt the user experience. 3. Personalizing user interactions. Netflix planned to enhance personalization by tailoring recommendations, homepage layout, and content presentation to individual preferences. 4. Increasing viewer retention. By creating an engaging and seamless experience, Netflix intended to boost viewer retention, a key metric for subscriber growth. Data collection and market analysis were conducted during this phase to understand user behavior and preferences. The product team collaborated with data scientists, engineers, and UX designers to create a roadmap aligned with Netflix's overarching goals. Step 2. Implementing the plan. Do. In the do phase, Netflix implemented its plan by enhancing the recommendation algorithm and optimizing content delivery. This phase focused on incremental improvements through frequent testing and development cycles, ensuring that changes positively impacted user experience. The implementation steps included: 1. Algorithm refinement. Data scientists and engineers began by enhancing the recommendation algorithm. Machine learning techniques were used to analyze viewing patterns, content interactions, and user preferences, allowing Netflix to predict better what users might want to watch next. 2. Content delivery optimization. Netflix improved its content delivery network, CDN, to reduce buffering and loading times. By caching content in regional servers closer to users, Netflix reduced lag and improved streaming speeds. The infrastructure team ensured that high-quality content delivery remained consistent, regardless of location. 3. Personalization enhancements. Personalized user interfaces were tested to improve engagement. Netflix experimented with diverse ways of displaying recommendations, such as highlighting trending content or tailoring the homepage based on viewing habits. A/B testing evaluated which layouts and designs resonated best with users. 4. Incremental updates and testing. Continuous A/B testing was conducted to ensure that changes positively impacted the user experience. By testing multiple variations, Netflix could refine the algorithm and user interface based on real-time feedback. 5. Feedback loop establishment. User feedback was gathered through surveys and performance metrics, providing the team insights into areas requiring change. This feedback loop allowed Netflix to detect any negative impacts early and adapt as necessary. Throughout this phase, Netflix maintained a flexible approach, implementing changes in small increments to avoid overwhelming users. Each update was tracked and monitored to ensure it contributed to the broader goals set in the planning phase. Step 3. Checking the results. The check phase involved analyzing the impact of the changes made in the do phase. During this phase, Netflix assessed whether the enhancements had met the desired objectives and whether additional improvements were necessary. The evaluation process focused on the following areas. 1. User engagement metrics. The frequency and duration of user interactions were monitored to assess if the recommendation algorithm was generating interest. Higher engagement showed that users were finding relevant content more easily. 2. Reduction in buffering and load times. By monitoring streaming quality and load times, Netflix evaluated whether improvements to the CDN were successful. A decrease in buffering issues and faster loading times were indicators of a successful implementation. 3. Personalization success. Metrics, such as click-through rates on recommended content, session duration, and user satisfaction scores, were analyzed to evaluate the effectiveness of personalization efforts. Feedback from users was also reviewed to understand their response to the updated recommendation system and UI design. 4. User retention rates. Increased viewer retention was a critical success metric. Netflix examined subscriber growth and churn rates to gauge the long-term impact of the PDCA cycle on user satisfaction. 5. Continuous feedback review. Surveys and focus groups provided qualitative insights into the effectiveness of the improvements. Users shared their thoughts on content relevance, ease of finding shows, and overall experience. This phase allowed Netflix to identify successful changes and any remaining areas for refinement. By monitoring these key metrics, Netflix gained valuable insights to guide future cycles. Step 4. Acting on insights for future cycles. In the act phase, Netflix used the findings from the check phase to refine its processes further. Adjustments were made to enhance features and address any lingering issues, ensuring continuous improvement in the user experience. Key actions taken in this phase included: 1. Refinement of algorithm features. Based on engagement data, some aspects of the recommendation algorithm were further enhanced. If specific content types, e.g., genres or formats, showed higher engagement, these were prioritized in future recommendations. 2. Expansion of CDN improvements. The positive impact of CDN improvements prompted Netflix to expand these enhancements to additional regions. This decision helped ensure a seamless experience across a broader user base, particularly in areas with high subscriber growth. 3. Personalization adjustments. Feedback suggested that some users preferred more control over recommendations, leading Netflix to implement features that allowed users to provide input on their preferences. 4. Documenting best practices and lessons learned. Successful strategies were documented as best practices, forming the foundation for future PDCA cycles. Lessons learned were shared across the development, data science, and product teams to ensure improvements were built upon for subsequent iterations. 5. Setting new goals for upcoming cycles. New objectives were defined for the next round based on the successful outcomes of the current PDCA cycle. These goals aim to drive further engagement and refine the user experience by incorporating emerging technologies and market trends. Long-term impact of PDCA on Netflix's user experience. Netflix achieved substantial long-term user experience and engagement benefits by continuously applying the PDCA cycle. The recommendation algorithm became more accurate and relevant while improving the streaming quality. This iterative approach enabled Netflix to stay aligned with developing user expectations, making the platform more engaging and accessible. Netflix's PDCA-driven method has allowed the company to maintain a competitive edge in the streaming industry, setting a standard for how user experience can be enhanced over time through continuous improvement. The ongoing cycle of planning, implementing, evaluating, and refining has fostered a culture of data-driven decisions and responsiveness to user feedback, which has helped to maintain Netflix's reputation as a leader in user satisfaction. Essential points from Netflix's PDCA application. Netflix uses a PDCA system to improve the user experience, and other companies can learn from their method. 1. User-centric planning. Defining clear objectives related to user satisfaction ensures that improvements align with customer needs and preferences. 2. Frequent testing and iteration. Small, incremental changes allow continuous improvement without overwhelming users or disrupting the experience. 3. Data-driven evaluation. Monitoring key metrics helps organizations assess the success of changes and quickly identify areas requiring further attention. 4. Feedback integration. Incorporating user feedback into the refinement process strengthens the overall quality and relevance of product features. 5. Documentation for continuous improvement. Documenting best practices and lessons learned creates a foundation for future cycles, supporting sustained progress and adaptation. Netflix's use of the PDCA cycle underscores the power of structured, iterative improvement in enhancing user experience. Netflix has always tried to make its users happy by setting clear goals, making changes, checking how well those changes worked, and improving its methods. The PDCA approach enabled Netflix to respond to user feedback, minimize issues, and optimize its recommendation algorithm and content delivery. This case study highlights the importance of prizing a user-focused, data-driven approach to achieving sustained growth and customer loyalty. Netflix's success with PDCA exemplifies how a systematic improvement cycle can transform a company's product offering, making it more engaging, relevant, and reliable for users. Summary of Chapter 7, Case Studies in PDCA. Real-world case studies are provided to illustrate the practical impact of PDCA across various industries. Each case study examines how a leading company successfully applied PDCA to address challenges, improve efficiency, and achieve strategic objectives. For example, Toyota's pioneering use of PDCA to enhance manufacturing efficiency is explored, showing how the cycle contributed to the company's lean manufacturing success. Other cases, such as Amazon's customer satisfaction initiatives and Intel's product development process optimization, demonstrate how PDCA can drive innovation and deliver results across different organizational functions. Each example serves as a roadmap for readers to understand how PDCA can be applied effectively.